Hello, Year 4, it's Mr. Tamlin here. Welcome to our Friday's topic lesson. This afternoon, we're going to be splitting our lesson into two parts. The very first part, we're going to be having an RSHE activity where we're going to just stop and think about our thoughts and our feelings, in particularly our dreams and our goals in life. And then for the second part of the lesson, we're going to have a PE activity where we're going to get up and moving by doing a Joe Wicks workout. If you remember in our very first lockdown, we watched some of Joe Wicks' workouts. Well, he's back with some more exercises for us to do. Now, let's get started on this very first activity, the RSHE. So on the screen now, you'll see a really nice quote that says, "Turn your dreams into goals." And this is a really nice quote because it thinks about all of our dreams and all the things that we want to do in our lives, and it tells us to make them happen by turning them into goals for us to achieve. So our main objectives are know how it feels to have dreams and goals. And then today we're also going to be thinking about your own dreams and your own goals. So to begin with this lesson, we're going to listen to a story which is called Salt in His Shoes. Now this is a true story about a very famous American basketball player called Michael Jordan. And you'll see a picture of Michael Jordan on the left-hand screen here. And while we're listening to this story, I have a question behind the screen. It says, what do you think this story is trying to teach us? And while we're listening to the story, I would like you to think about this question, just keeping it in the back of your minds and thinking about what is the message from it. So let's listen to the story, Salt in His Shoes.
Hello, today we're going to read a book titled Salt in His Shoes, Michael Jordan in Pursuit of a Dream by Dolores Jordan with Rosalind M. Jordan, illustrated by Kadir Nelson. Michael loved to play basketball. Every Saturday he followed his older brothers, Larry and Ronnie, to the park, hoping that they would let him play. And if one of the guys who usually played with them didn't show, they always did. But there was one problem. His name was Mark, and he was the tallest boy on the court. "What's the matter, Mikey? Too short?" Mark flapped his arms in Michael's face. "Over here!" shouted Larry. But when Michael threw the ball, Mark's long arms came out of nowhere and knocked the ball away. It flew into the hands of a player on Mark's team. He made the basket, and the game was over. Just like that. "I'm really sorry, guys. If I were taller, that wouldn't have happened." All the way home, Michael apologized, even though no one was mad at him. His oldest brother, Ronnie, tried to cheer him up. "Look, little brother, you played good today. Don't worry. We'll win the next time." When they got home, Michael went into the kitchen where Mama was cooking dinner. He was still disappointed, and she could tell. "You guys lost again today, huh?" Michael nodded. He sat quietly for a minute, then said, "Mama, how can I grow taller?" Now, Mama knew the answer to a lot of questions, but this was a tough one. She thought for a moment as she sprinkled salt and pepper on the chicken she was making for dinner. Then she smiled, looked at Michael, and said, "Salt." "Salt?" Michael looked at his mama. "Salt in your shoes. We'll put salt in your shoes and say a prayer every night, but before you know it, you'll be taller," she replied. "Salt in my shoes," Michael said quietly to himself. Surely Mama was teasing. He sat staring out of the window, trying to figure out how salt was going to help him grow. He noticed the rose bushes outside in Mama's garden. They had grown high along the fence, and roses of all colors were blooming on the vines. He thought to himself, "I remember when Mama first planted those bushes." Michael's face lit up. If Mama knows how to make those rose bushes grow taller, then maybe she's right. Maybe salt in my shoes really will help me grow. Growing more excited, Michael twirled around and started asking lots of questions. "Mama, how long will it take, and how tall do you think I'll get?" Smiling, Mama sat down next to him and explained, "In order for this to work, the most important things you have to do are be patient and listen to what I tell you, and say your prayers every night." Listening carefully, Michael shook his head. "Okay, Mama, I'll be patient. But what does saying my prayers have to do with it?" "Everything," Mama replied. and she hugged him. "Now go wash up and tell your brothers and sisters to get ready for dinner." Michael dashed out of the kitchen, almost knocking over his father, who was walking in. "What's he up to now?" asked Daddy. "Oh, the usual," laughed Mama, chasing a dream. Later during dinner, Mama noticed that Michael was barely eating anything. He was already daydreaming about being taller. "Michael, first things first. You won't grow if you don't eat, especially your vegetables," Mama said. "But I'm not really hungry," he said. Raising her eyebrows, Mama gave him a stern look. Slowly, Michael picked up his fork and began to eat. Minutes later, his plate was clean and he was asking for more. That evening at bedtime, Michael set his favorite game shoes on the floor next to the growth chart hanging on the wall. Then he put on his pajamas and said his prayers and jumped into bed. When Mama came in, Michael was fast asleep. By the look on his face, she could tell he was already playing basketball in his dreams. Standing by his bed, Mama sprinkled salt in his shoes. Then she prayed quietly over him as she did all her children. "Dear God, please help Michael to be the best he can be and to give his best in all that he does. And Lord, could you please make him just a little bit taller tomorrow than he is today? Thank you. Amen." After that night, Michael wore his favorite game shoes everywhere he went, even to church. And he stopped going to the park with his brothers on Saturdays. Instead, he stayed home and practiced. He wanted to grow a few more inches before he went back to the park. After 2 months of practicing and waiting patiently and praying, Michael stood next to the growth chart on his wall. Nothing. He hadn't even grown an inch. He was disappointed, but he did not stop believing. "I've just got to give it time like Mama said," Michael thought to himself, and that's what he did. 2 more months of practicing went by and still nothing. Now Michael was becoming a little sad. Not only had he not grown 1 inch, but he also missed playing basketball with Larry and Ronnie. About the only thing he didn't miss was being picked on by Mark. When the next Saturday came, his brothers tried to get Michael to go with them to the park, but he wouldn't budge. Mama had begun to worry. When she saw Michael sitting alone on the steps, she said to Daddy, "Maybe you should go out and talk to him." So Daddy went out and sat with Michael. "What's wrong, son? You haven't gone to the park with your brothers for a while now. Are you okay?" Michael didn't say anything at first. Then he looked at Daddy and said, "I thought I would at least be a few inches taller by now. I did everything Mama told me to do, but nothing's happened." "Michael, why do you want to be taller?" Daddy asked. "If I were taller, I'd be a great player, and I could help our team win," Michael answered. "But you are a great player, son, and you already have everything it takes to be a winner, right in here." Daddy tapped Michael on his chest. "Being taller may help you play a little better, but not as much as practice, determination, and giving your best will. Those are the things that make you a real winner." Michael thought about what Daddy said for a minute. Then suddenly, he jumped up and took off. "Where are you going?" Daddy yelled after him. "I've got a game today, and I'm late," Michael yelled back. When Michael reached the park, the game had started. He sat on the bench, hoping he would get a chance to play, and he did. The game was almost over, and the score was tied when John, one of the guys on Michael's team, fell and hurt himself. Here was Michael's chance. Michael joined his team in the huddle as they gathered on the sideline for a timeout. "Okay, game is tied. All we need is 1 point. Who wants to take the shot?" Ronnie asked. He looked in Michael's direction. Feeling more confident than ever, Michael said, "I'll do it." When the whistle blew and the game began again, Mark began to pick on Michael as usual. "Still trying to play with the big boys, huh?" Mark taunted. But Michael paid him no attention. Taller or not, he had been practicing, and today he was determined to win. Larry threw the ball inbounds to Michael. Michael caught it, bounced it for a moment, and then took off running. As he approached Mark, Michael shifted to the right. Mark followed, but while he was still shifting, Michael spun to his left. He stepped behind Mark and shot. The ball arced far above his opponent's hands and fell silently through the hoop. 2 points. The game was over. Michael's team had won. It was just as Michael had dreamed. When he realized what he had done, Michael took off running and didn't stop until he had reached home. Bursting through the door, he shouted, "I did it, Daddy! I did it! I shot right over the tall guy's head and we won the game!" Running in behind him, Ronnie and Larry joined the celebration. "That's right, little brother, you did it! You won the game for us!" Michael remembered the look that Ronnie gave him during the last timeout of the game and said, "No, we won the game, but I was the star." They all laughed. After that day, Mama stopped putting salt in Michael's shoes, but Michael did not stop being patient and working hard and praying. So that must be what made Michael grow to be a 6'6" tall basketball superstar.
Now that we've listened to the story, we need to think about what really made Michael's dream come true. Well, in life, it's often hard work and perseverance that allows us to achieve our dreams rather than just quick little fixes. If we think about our school now, which of our school learning powers do you think this links to most and why? Now, in my personal opinion, I think it links to our learning power of resilience, which is the ability to overcome a problem or maybe like a difficult activity and to keep going and then achieve it. So over to you then. I would like you today to think about a dream or a hope you have for the future. Now there's lots of different options. So it could be about something to do with school or maybe a university you want to go to. It could be a future job. So when I'm older, I would like to become maybe like a doctor, a nurse, or a vet, or an actor, or anything at all. Or it could be an achievement in your life, something that you want to do. It might even take a little bit of bravery to accomplish it, something that you want to do. Now, if you can, we would love it if you can post your dream job or your accomplishment or something you'd like to achieve in your life to your teacher on the chat section on Microsoft Teams. You might even want to pause the video now to type that and send straight away. Super. Now, that is our first part of our lesson done. We're going to be moving on to part 2, which is our PE. So we're going to get up and moving in a moment. Now, to access Joe Wick's PE activities and the videos, there are 2 ways that you can do this. Option number 1 is to actually go into YouTube and you can type PE with Joe and you should come up with some videos. Now on my screen, I can see different ones. I can see the workout we did on Monday. There's another workout we did on Wednesday. So you can scroll through and you can pick whichever workout you'd like to do. You might even want to do the one today. Or the other way to do it is I've added a link onto our learning document. So you can literally just click it or copy it and it will take you straight to PE with Joe. See if you can challenge yourself to get to the very end of Joe Wick's workout. Good luck, Year 4.